Hey, hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chris. Every day I do a vlog. If you could like, subscribe, or maybe hit that bell notification, or tell you what, how about hype this video just here? Hype it, that'd be great. Thank you so much. Every day I talk about something uniquely different, and today, because you're not intimidated by them, they have no power over you. They just don't. And they get frustrated by that. There are people who want to exert their power, their dominance, their control over you, but unfortunately for them, you're not intimidated. Unfortunately for you, their actions, whatever they're saying, whatever they're doing, is not having an impact on your life. And that is something that you've learned over time, probably. There was a time in my life where somebody would say something, they would do something, they'd behave a certain way. I would just really take it to heart. And you can't do that, because it's just like you injuring yourself. It really is. And you don't want to be injuring yourself, because it's a form of, I guess, emotional self-harm. And when you do really give it that mental power, then you give the control back to the person, I think, who's causing you the difficulty, who's causing you the harm. Now, I really feel that part of the learning process for this is where you just don't ignore it, but you learn to deal with it. I don't know if you can ignore complete bad behavior or words that have been so destructive that you found harmful, and trying to forget that takes a bit of time. When somebody says something to you and makes you feel upset, with time it completely disappears. And I always say, you don't always remember what people say, but you remember how they make you feel. And how they make you feel is really important. Because if you've got friends in your life who make you feel at times bad and aren't considerate of your feelings, are they true friends? Well, probably not. Probably not. But people who are injurious to you because of how they've presented, by what they've said, then that's not so good. And knowing how to deal with that, I think, is vitally important. You can't allow people the opportunity to cause you harm, and you can't allow them to have that power over you. The intimidation only works when they know that they have that control and power over you. But if you brush it off, if you're indifferent to it, if you're almost beige, dare I say, to how they present to you, then that's not a bad thing, because it protects you, and it really sends them a signal back to say that all their best efforts, all the things that they've been looking to do to cause you difficulty and harm, has not worked. It hasn't. And when it hasn't worked, well, what do? They can try and try and try again. They can carry on and on and on, but if you stay stoic in the face of all that, and complete the pattern, complete the way of ignorance towards their actions, I think one of two things happen. I think they give up, and they feel that they're getting nowhere, and you've protected yourself into the bargain. And when you accept that people's intimidation of you is unfair. I mean, at the end of the day, people should communicate and talk and address their feelings, and if they have a problem with you, to communicate with you. But have you ever noticed this? An awful lot of adults in life cannot communicate. They act childish. They shut down, they lock down, and they just don't address the real issues that are affecting them. And sometimes, have you noticed this as well? Their stress is so abundant, yet they pick on you about the least little thing. When you stand up and challenge them about that in a very passive way, they don't like it. they see you then as being the bad person, it's the wrong person, and they lock you down because of that. So if you're experiencing that, if you're having that in your life, just know that there is a way of dealing with people like that. And what you don't do, you don't give them what they want, because what they want is for you to be intimidated. They want you to feel that. But when you don't own it, when you don't take ownership of it, it's such a wonderful place to be, because you're giving yourself the opportunity of living a very peaceful, very restful existence. And when you do that, it's just the best thing. And I guess, would you want somebody in your life who's going to be repetitively involved in intimidating you? I don't think you would. I definitely wouldn't want that person in my life if they're going to behave in a way which is unbecoming of what I would regard as a friend. So I guess each of us have a level, a base in which we find behaviours that either acceptable or not acceptable. But if you don't like something, I think it's only fair and reasonable, in a very polite way, to say to them, actually, I don't like your behaviour. I don't respect how you're behaving. Please desist and do something different, because if you can do that different thing, we're going to be on a better relationship level. It may well be that sometimes people act out of character, and that is fair enough. We all have bad days, we all have difficult days, we all have challenges in our lives, and managing those challenges can be difficult, and it's a bit like filling a cup up to the very top. You can feel like it's brimming over sometimes, and not feeling like yourself, because you have to be yourself around people. But there is this filter, I think, that we all have. And this filter is very much where we don't want to hurt the people that we call friends or family. And if there is scope for discourse, for upset, then we need to deal with that in a very adult way. But have you noticed there are people, adults, who act and behave like children? I think they're emotionally adolescent. They don't behave in a way which is conducive to a positive communication. And I think people who behave that way, and it can be people who've been around for a very long time, in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and they still behave very childish when it comes to discourse or upset. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants to be intimidated. Nobody wants to be bullied. And there are bullish behaviours and people out there who will try and behave that way. When you say no to that kind of behaviour, that kind of intimidation, boy, don't they get upset. They really do. They just don't like it. They're okay in you accommodating them, but there's no accommodation for you. There's no accommodation. And the lack of that accommodation is so, I guess, upsetting, because they don't see how they're behaving. You have to meet them on every level. You do. And sometimes it means you not being you. And if you're not being you, then maybe you're being false. You're being this version of you in order that they can get through without having the challenge or the difficulties in communicating with everybody else. I've met people in my life, and dare I say it, I know people fairly close to me who behave that way. I wouldn't say it stems from a core of intimidation, but they like to bully and cajole people in a very subtle way. And it's those subtle behaviours that I find completely challenging. And when you have to suppress who you are as a person in order to get on with that other person, that is so horrible. And it's unfair. And it's unfair on you, because if you can't be you around them, then maybe don't be around them. Maybe that's the key there. Now, some people you will have to be around who present that way, because they may be family members. They may be people who are in your inner circle, and therefore you're going to have to limit the contact. You may get an awful lot of positivity out of that relationship, but there may be an awful lot of negativity too. And if there's a ton of negativity, then you have to maybe limit the contact. But the intimidation, I think, by, it could be colleagues, friends, family, anyone, if you're feeling that, I think it's good to say something about it initially. If you say something about it, then maybe something will be done about it. But like everything, I think, save your peace, save your sanctuary, because sometimes it's just not worth having the argument. It's just not worth having that discourse, because the fallout from that, well, can be numerous things. So being invisible, stepping away, that's not so bad. Anyway, thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate you. Today is a miserable day. Look at this. It's pouring down with rain. It's a proper winter's day here in the UK. So I'm heading off home for a lovely weekend. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you could like, subscribe, or maybe hit that bell notification, or hype this video. Thank you so much. If you could, that would be great. And I'll see you again tomorrow on the next one. See you then. Bye now.